From a young age, many of us are trained to look outward for approval. We learn to measure our worth by applause, likes, compliments, and acceptance. Somewhere along the way, we start believing that being chosen by others is more important than choosing ourselves. And without realizing it, we hand over the control of our confidence to people who don't even know our full story. The problem with seeking validation from others is simple. When their approval becomes your fuel, their rejection becomes your prison. The moment you depend on external validation, you start editing yourself. You soften your voice, hide your opinions, and shrink your dreams just to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. You become careful instead of courageous. You start asking, what will they think? Before asking, what do I feel? And slowly, silently, you drift away from who you really are. No one warns you that approval is addictive, and the cost of that addiction is your authenticity. Here's the truth that sets you free. Not everyone is supposed to understand you like you or support you. And that's not a flaw, it's life. When you stop needing validation, you stop negotiating your self-worth. You realize that silence doesn't mean rejection, disagreement does. Mean disrespect. And being overlooked doesn't mean being unworthy. It simply means you are walking your own path, not performing on someone else's stage. Self-love begins when your inner voice becomes louder than the noise outside. When you learn to approve of yourself first, you become unshakable. Compliments feel good, but they don't define you. Criticism may come, but it doesn't destroy you. You stop living in emotional extremes because your value is no longer on loan. It belongs to you. And once you own it, no one can take it away. Letting go of validation doesn't mean becoming arrogant or disconnected. It means becoming grounded. You still listen, you still learn, but you don't lose yourself trying to be liked. You understand that your worth was never something to be voted on. It was never dependent on trends, opinions, or timing. It existed before applause, and it will remain after silence. When you stop chasing approval, you gain clarity. You make decisions based on alignment, not acceptance. You speak with honesty, not fear. You walk away from places where you are tolerated instead of celebrated. And in that space, something powerful happens. You begin to respect yourself. And when you respect yourself, the world adjusts accordingly. Because the strongest form of self-love is when you no longer ask others for permission to believe in yourself. Most people confuse love with sacrifice, thinking that the more they give, the more they'll be valued. They stretch themselves thin, say yes when they're exhausted, and stay silent when something hurts just to avoid disappointing others. But real self-love doesn't come from pleasing everyone around you. It comes from honoring yourself. The moment you start setting boundaries, you begin to tell the truth about what you can and cannot accept. And that truth is not selfish, it's necessary. Guilt often shows up when you first start protecting your time and energy. You feel like you're doing something wrong, like you're being unkind or ungrateful. But ask yourself this: how many times have you ignored your own needs just to keep the peace? How many times have you paid the emotional price so others wouldn't feel uncomfortable? That guilt is not a sign that you're wrong. It's a sign that you're changing patterns that no longer serve you. Boundaries are not about controlling others. They're about controlling your own life. You are allowed to decide how much access people have to you. You are allowed to step back from conversations that drain you, relationships that confuse you, and environments that steal your peace. Saying no doesn't make you cold, it makes you clear. And clarity is one of the highest forms of self-respect. At first, some people won't like the new version of you. They may say you've changed, that you're distant, that you're not the same anymore. They're right. You're not. You're more aware, more grounded, and no longer available for things that cost you your well-being. Remember this: people who truly care about you will adjust, not attack. Anyone who demands unlimited access to you is not asking for love. They're asking for control. When you stop over-explaining yourself, you reclaim your power. You don't owe everyone a reason for your decisions. Your peace does not require a public explanation. The more you respect your own boundaries, the more you teach others how to treat you. And even more importantly, you teach yourself that your needs matter. Self-love means understanding that your energy is valuable. You cannot keep pouring into empty spaces and expect to feel fulfilled. Rest is not weakness. Distance is not rejection. Choosing yourself is not abandonment of others. It's loyalty to your own soul. And once you experience the peace that comes from honoring your limits, you'll realize how much chaos you were tolerating just to feel accepted. Boundaries don't separate you from people. They separate you from what's draining you. They help you show up fully where it matters and step away where it doesn't. And when you stop feeling guilty for protecting your peace, you step into a version of yourself that no longer needs permission to breathe. That is when self-love becomes real. Many people believe they must fix themselves before they deserve love, respect, or confidence. They look in the mirror and focus only on what's missing, what's broken, what needs to change. So they push themselves with harsh words, constant comparison, and silent self-criticism, thinking that pressure will create progress. But real growth never starts with rejection. It starts with acceptance. You don't heal by hating who you are. You heal by understanding who you are. Accepting yourself does not mean settling for less or giving up on improvement. It means acknowledging where you are without punishing yourself for not being further along. When you stop fighting yourself, you create space to grow. Think about it. How can you move forward if all your energy is spent judging the past? Self-acceptance is the moment you say, this is where I am right now, and that's okay. From that place, change becomes natural, not forced. When you constantly criticize yourself, you shrink. You hesitate to try, afraid of confirming your own doubts. You become your harshest enemy instead of your strongest ally. But when you accept yourself, you build trust within. You start listening to your inner voice instead of attacking it. You allow yourself to learn, to fail, to improve without carrying shame every step. That trust is powerful because growth requires courage. And courage only exists where there is safety. Self-love means recognizing that you are a work in progress, not a problem to be solved. Your flaws are not proof of failure. They are evidence that you are human. Every version of you had a purpose. The mistakes taught you. The delays protected you. The struggles shaped your strength. When you honor your journey instead of rejecting it, you stop rushing your growth and start respecting your process. Acceptance also frees you from comparison. When you're at peace with who you are, other people's success no longer threatens you. You understand that different timelines don't mean different worth. You stop chasing someone else's life and start building your own. And from that grounded place, improvement becomes intentional, not desperate. Once you accept yourself, discipline feels different. You don't improve because you hate who you are. You improve because you care about who you are becoming. You choose better habits, stronger boundaries, and higher standards, not to prove your value, but to honor it. That shift changes everything. Growth becomes an act of self-respect, not self-rejection. The moment you stop waiting to be perfect before loving yourself is the moment real transformation begins. Loving yourself isn't always comfortable. In fact, some of the most powerful acts of self-love will feel lonely, heavy, and misunderstood. Choosing yourself often means stepping away from what feels familiar, even when it's not healthy. It means saying no to what once felt safe, and yes to what helps you grow. And growth, by nature, demands discomfort before it delivers strength. There will be moments when choosing yourself means standing alone. You may have to walk away from relationships that drain you, opportunities that look good but feel wrong, or habits that once gave comfort but now hold you back. And people may not understand your decision. They may question you, judge you, or try to pull you back into versions of you that no longer exist. But remember this. Just because something is familiar doesn't mean it's right. And just because something feels hard doesn't mean it's wrong. Self-love requires courage. The courage to disappoint others without abandoning yourself. Many people stay stuck because they fear being seen as selfish or ungrateful. But choosing yourself is not about hurting others. It's about refusing to hurt yourself any longer. Every time you ignore your inner voice to keep someone else comfortable, you teach yourself that your needs come last. And over time, that quiet betrayal erodes your confidence and your peace. When you choose yourself, you begin to live with alignment. Your actions match your values. Your decisions reflect your truth. And even though the path may feel uncomfortable, it feels honest. You stop living for approval and start living with intention. You no longer move based on fear of loss, but on respect for your future. Discomfort is often a sign that you're breaking old patterns. It's the space between who you were and who you're becoming. That space can feel uncertain, but it's also where growth happens. Don't rush to fill it with distractions or compromises. Sit with it. Learn from it. Trust that clarity comes after courage. Choosing yourself also means trusting your ability to handle what comes next. You don't need every answer before you take the step. You just need the willingness to move forward without betraying yourself. Confidence isn't built by always being right, it's built by being true. And each time you honor your truth, you strengthen your self-respect. The more you choose yourself, the easier it becomes. What once felt selfish starts to feel necessary. What once felt scary starts to feel freeing. You realize that peace is not found in comfort, but in alignment. And alignment is priceless, because in the end, the most important relationship you will ever have is the one you have with yourself. And choosing it, especially when it's uncomfortable, is the greatest form of self-love. One of the hardest lessons in learning to love yourself is accepting that you cannot move forward while constantly punishing yourself for the past. Many people carry old mistakes like permanent labels, replaying moments they wish they could change, and judging themselves through yesterday's failures. They speak to themselves with a harshness they would never use on anyone else. But self-love begins when you realize that growth requires release, not regret. Forgiving yourself does not mean pretending the past didn't happen. It means understanding it without letting it define you. Every mistake you made came from a version of you that was trying to survive, learn, or cope with what they knew at the time. You didn't have the awareness you have now. You didn't have the strength you carry today. Holding on to guilt for not knowing better only keeps you trapped in a version of yourself you've already outgrown. When you refuse to forgive yourself, you stay emotionally stuck. You hesitate to trust your decisions, afraid of repeating old errors. You doubt your worth, thinking your past disqualifies you from peace, love, or success. But the past is not a life sentence, it's a lesson. And lessons are meant to be learned, not lived in forever. Self-forgiveness is choosing growth over self-punishment. It's acknowledging your responsibility without drowning in shame. You can say, I made a mistake, without saying, I am the mistake. That distinction changes everything. The moment you separate who you are from what you did, you reclaim your power. You stop dragging old pain into new chapters and allow yourself to start fresh with clarity. Letting go doesn't happen all at once. Some memories will still sting. Some moments will still surface. But each time they do, you have a choice. Relive the pain or learn from it. Speak to yourself with compassion. Remind yourself how far you've come. Growth is not about perfection. It's about progress. And progress requires patience. When you forgive yourself, you open the door to confidence. You stop shrinking in rooms because of who you used to be. You stop explaining yourself through old wounds. You start showing up as you are now, wiser, stronger, more aware. And from that place, self-love becomes stable, not fragile. Your future does not need permission from your past. You are allowed to move on, to be happy, to succeed without carrying the weight of old versions of yourself. Forgiveness is not forgetting its freedom. Freedom from self-judgment. Freedom from regret. Freedom to become who you were always meant to be. The moment you stop living in regret is the moment you finally give yourself permission to grow. There comes a moment in life when you realize that people will come and go, situations will change, and nothing outside of you is guaranteed to stay the same. If your strength is built only on others, every goodbye will break you, and every setback will shake you. That's why true self-love is learning to become your own foundation. When you develop inner strength, you stop depending on external support to hold you together. You become steady, even when the world around you feels uncertain. Being your own source of strength doesn't mean you stop caring about people or asking for help. It means you no longer collapse when support is missing. You learn to stand on your own when no one is clapping, encouraging, or checking in. You stop needing constant reassurance to move forward. Instead, you build a quiet confidence that comes from knowing you can handle whatever comes next. Inner strength is built through consistency with yourself. It's in the promises you keep when no one is watching. It's in the discipline to show up on hard days, not because you feel motivated, but because you respect yourself. Every time you follow through, even in small ways, you send yourself a powerful message. I can trust me. And trust is the backbone of confidence. When you rely on yourself, rejection hurts less. Failure doesn't destroy you. You don't lose your identity when plans fall apart. You understand that setbacks are part of the process, not the end of your story. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You start asking, what is this teaching me? That shift transforms pain into purpose and pressure into growth. Self-love means becoming emotionally resilient. You allow yourself to feel disappointment without letting it define you. You acknowledge fear without letting it control you. You don't avoid challenges, you face them, knowing that every challenge you survive strengthens your belief in yourself. Over time, you realize that confidence is not loud or arrogant, it's calm, grounded, and unshaken. When you become your own source of strength, you stop chasing stability in people who are unstable. You stop settling for less just to avoid being alone. You choose relationships from wholeness, not fear, and that changes the quality of your life. You attract healthier connections because you no longer need anyone to complete you. The strongest people are not those who never fall, they are the ones who know how to get back up without losing themselves. When you learn to rely on your inner strength, you carry your power with you wherever you go. No one can take it away, because it was built within you. And that is when loving yourself more than anyone becomes your greatest strength.